So in today's video, I was gonna just cover a couple little add-on accessories that I think, if you're getting into riding any of these styles of bikes, recumbent, bent, laid back, because this is new for me, going from traditional bikes, that I think would be good to have. So the first thing I added here was just a little mirror, and I just bought it's a handlebar attached mirror. I just bought it right off the Cruzbike website, and you know, there's many places you can get different models and whatnot. I bought that one just because it seemed like it would work easy, and I like supporting those guys. And I never rode with a mirror on any bike until about 1.5 2 years ago, and I put one on a bar end mirror on my gravel bike. And you know, just because I ride tons of bike lanes in trafficked areas, and I found that to be really helpful in just seeing the traffic coming up behind me. And I would say on this bike, on a recumbent bike, it's really helpful because I'm not, you know, it's much harder to turn my head and look over my shoulder compared to a traditional road or gravel bike type of scenario. So I'm finding the mirror to be super helpful, you know, to just see if there's traffic coming up behind me or if I'm about to change lanes. So again, you know, I never would have shown up to like some group ride or a race or anything like that in the old days, or even like, you know, a big pack ride here in Irvine, like the Como Street ride. You know, it's mostly racing, weight weenies, you know, that kind of thing. And that was a good 25, 30 years ago for me. But, you know, I guess as you get older, I don't know, the safety thing is just something you think about more. It is for me. I don't know why. Although, I mean, injuries happen a lot easier. Little injuries can be more debilitating when you're older. The other two little additions, got just a blinking taillight, which, you know, you should have on every bike. And then I got a cool, really bright flashing front light that I'll show you here. And I got that from the Cruzbike website along with their little add-on piece. You get this little pole. It's got a little like threaded bolt on the end, and there's a spot actually on the frame to screw that in, and then you can attach lights or even, you know, any light really to it. So it works real nice. It's at a nice level, and I think that stuff again on recumbent is maybe a little bit more important. You know, I always rode with a taillight on the road bike, but I think it's even more important to have those things going down. I have a rear shock, new shock on order, so it could come any day. Still 165 millimeter like the original, but right here I have a 1,200 pound shock, and I upgraded to 2,000 pound, which I'm a bigger guy right now, heavier, fat, we could just say. You know, and the reality is, I mean, I really don't need suspension, to be honest. Like I said, I probably would have got just the regular Q40 or S40, it's called. It's just kind of like their standard road bike, not the Vendetta 20 Super Race model. Kind of they're in between regular road bike. That would have been fine for me. I just got a really good deal on this one. The Adventure Touring Q45 with the rear shock. So I'm going to stiffen it up even more. You know, the only kind of off-road I'm going to hit with something like this is, you know, gravel roads, dirt roads, that kind of thing, which, you know, I certainly ride on gravel bikes without any suspension. So it would have been fine. But just going to stiffen it up a little bit more. And then I'm looking at some tires. I ordered a tire, which hasn't gotten here yet. Just even thinner as far as the width of the tire, more road ready, a little bit better lower rolling resistance, to see how that impacts the bike.
Oh yeah, this is beautiful. Yeah, I think there is a slight wind at my back now. See, with the cruise bike feels like it a little bit more speed here. See how it's getting much smoother. Very little wobble as I push into the pedals. You know, so nice and flat spot here, 20 miles an hour, 22, nice and comfy. Carving turns stuff, man, it's so awesome. That just feels killer on this thing.
So I think one of the most important skills you could develop on this bike, or any recumbent, would be riding really slow. Point of, you know, can you do a track stand? Almost. It's really hard, because that's what's going to impact, and what I would notice the most, you know, pulling up, you know, hugging a white line on a left turn lane, or kind of where I place myself in the traffic. I mean, I would imagine by using your legs to balance the bike, you could do something close to a track stand. There's definitely some different balancing skills, like doing a tight corner, like not really a corner at speed, but like, you know, on a path like this, if I want to do a 180 turn, definitely a different way of balancing, and my initial reaction is like to have like my knee like kind of come outward to like over here, to simulate more of like how I might do that on my road bike. And the reality is I gotta keep, it's better if I keep them tucked in. So just kind of getting used to like breaking some of the habits that I would have used on my traditional bike. Turn right onto this bike lane. Nice and tight. Here's a nice example of where this mirror is going to come in handy for me. Get some speed going here along Bryan Boulevard. This is a 2-lane road. People go like 60. I'm going to have traffic behind me, so I'm going to move over now. Look at my left mirror. Make my move. Signal here. Signal slightly before the move. Whew. Get into this left turn lane, and unfortunately I didn't beat the traffic. So here's where slowing down and being able to almost track stand would be really helpful. There's a lot of traffic coming, so I gotta stop. Don't have anybody behind me. Here's an area too. So the car pulled into the left turn lane across from me, which is a little harder to see than on a traditional road bike. It's a little harder for me to see if there's a car coming from behind, you know, on that, what would be the right side of that car. So got to be really careful about nosing out in that kind of environment. The next ride in the next video, which I might make tomorrow, will be me clipped in on the Q45. So should be a pretty easy transition, I think. So we shall see. All right, take it easy.